What's going on, everybody? It's Totally back again. I already made this video once before, but I wanted to really take my time with it and do something special. And it's fixing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2024 offseason, my version. The last one I did, I was okay with how it went, but I'm thinking this time we better. Definitely took my time a lot more, made sure I had all of the salary cap information correct, and actually had a lot more money to use than I originally thought. Um, so we're gonna remake it, and it's gonna be better this time around. So, getting back into it, it's gonna have the same similar concept as before. So we're gonna go and discuss key free agents that the Steelers have, or free agents in general, except for a couple ones that, like I said before, are no-name guys that you don't even know about or care about. Then we're going to go over some extensions that I would make. Then we're going to do some salary cap cuts that I think are needed to get this team back in the green, and especially to be able to use that money on free agents as soon as the open market hits. So that will lead me into discussing some free agent targets for the Steelers. Then we do have the same trade we made last time. I apologize, but I just think it's the best chance for the Steelers to win. So we're going to make it again, but it's going to be slightly different. In this one, I will have what the 2024 depth chart will look like before the draft. Have it all mapped out there. We'll still discuss some draft targets for the Steelers in this upcoming draft. We will do a mock draft sim using just the Steelers and see what we can get there. And then I will go, and it'll be kind of real time with you guys. I'll go back to the depth chart. We'll insert the players that we've taken and get a good overall view of what the team would look like in 2024 if we did these moves and signings. So let's get into it. So here are some Steelers current still free agents that we have not signed back to a contract yet. We got Mason Rudolph here. He was making about $1 million last year, so you'll save $1 million there by releasing him. Levi Wallace was making about $4 million at corner. And I know I made a mistake in my last video. I said he was our corner 2. Obviously, Patrick Peterson was our corner 2, but he didn't look like a corner 2 to me. So it is what it is. Shannon Sullivan played slot corner. He was making about $1.2 million. Marcus Golden, $1.3 million. He was great depth, in my opinion, behind T.J. Watt there when he was injured. Quan Alexander, middle linebacker, about $1.3 million that he was making. Miles Killebrew, safety / special team all pro. He was making about $2 million. James Pierre, cornerback, about $1.3 million. Montravius Adams, defensive tackle depth, he was making about 2.5. Armon Watts was a defensive end depth, making about 1.2 million. Miles Boykin, he's a free agent wide receiver, making about $1 million. Blake Martinez, another middle linebacker depth piece that we signed, he was making about 1.1 million. And then Michael Walker, kind of a tweener between linebacker depth and edge depth or whatever, but he was making about 1 million. So all these players, if we let them all walk right now, that equals $18.9 million that could be saved by cutting everybody on this list. But that'll lead me to my next slide. We aren't going to do that. Obviously, we're going to make some extensions and bring some guys back. So I'll give you the breakdown of that. I would bring Marcus Golden back. 1.3 million he was making. You could probably get him somewhere around the same price. And like I said, it was a good backup when T.J. Watt went down. He played well when he was in there, and I think you just keep him around as an in case, right? Miles Killebrew, he could be a backup safety for you, which he was. Special teams monster. He had a couple blocked field goals that saved our ass. I'm bringing him back on a $2 million a year deal if that's what he's making. Levi Wallace, his market's going to go up just slightly a bit from 4 to 5 million. I looked into the market value on some of these players, what they're worth right now. I would bring Levi Wallace back, like I said in my last video, just in case you go into the draft, you can't grab another outside corner that could start right away. At least he's a band-aid there for right now. And then if you do get that guy, then okay, he's your, CB3 maybe or whatever. You can figure it out from there. But I think for just $5 million a year is not too much to just bring him back as also an in case if we don't get one in the draft. Montravius Adams, bringing him back for $2.5 million, and he's just going to continue to be defensive tackle depth because behind Keanu Benton, if we let him go, we don't have anybody. So that totals, if we bring these 4 players back, that's going to total $10.3 million. Our current cap situation, we're about $5 million over the cap, so we have to get back under. In the previous slide, remember, we had $18.9 million if we let all those players walk. We're not letting them all walk. We're bringing back $10.3 million worth of players with these 4 guys. That's going to equal $18.6 million. Then you take off the $5 million that we are over the cap, and that leaves us right now with what we've done so far with $3.6 million to spend. We're under the cap, $3.6 million at this point. So that's going to lead me to my next slide, and it's going to be needed salary cap cuts. We're going to cut Allen Robinson. He's going to save you $10 million by cutting Allen Robinson. I don't think he contributed that much anyways. He's an older guy, slow. If you have Deontay on the outside and you have Pickens on the other outside, if you're keeping Deontay out there, or, I know he played some slot here or there, but he's obviously primarily on the outside. What are you doing with Allen Robinson, who is also another outside wide receiver? He doesn't play in the slot. They used him a little bit there, but it just doesn't make any sense to have him at all. And he's going to save you the most money out of anybody that we have right now that could be cut. So we're going to cut him, get the $10 million there. Patrick Peterson, I don't think he did a very good job when he was a Steeler here, coming off that career year that he had with the Vikings. He just didn't look the part to me. I mean, he's a great mentor, I guess, if you want to have him, coach up the young corners you have in the room. But, there was talk of moving him to safety. I think they did that towards the end of the year. I didn't really like that either. I just didn't think he played well at all. Missed tackles like crazy. He didn't have the interception performances that he was having the previous season. I'm just not in on him anymore. So we're going to cut him. That's going to gain us $6.8 million. Larry Ogunjobi, he was a good defensive end for us. Not an elite guy, obviously, but he did fairly well. But I'm still going to cut him because you'll see later in the video I have a replacement, and he's a little bit cheaper of a replacement. $6.2 million we can save by cutting Larry, so I'm okay with moving on from him. If it's gonna turn the money that we gain into better free agent acquisitions, why not do it? So I'm going to let him go. Mason Cole, our starting center, pretty garbage player in my opinion. Like I said before, he might be a good backup for you, but $4 million is a lot to pay someone who's kind of backing up at your center spot especially. I can understand maybe guards and tackles making a little more that are, depth pieces or whatever, because those guys seem to get more injured than your center does. But I don't think we really need him. So $4 million is a decent amount to save by cutting him. I'm also going to go and cut Nate Herbig. He was a guard depth piece for us. That's fine if you want to keep him. I'm going to save the $4 million, and we're going to go get a slightly cheaper guard in free agency, which you will see later on. Keanu Neal, didn't really see the field much. Not paying him $2.3 million to sit on the bench, and I don't really think we need him. So we're going to cut him, save $2.3 million. And then DeMonte KZ is the other one. He was our starting safety on the other side of Fitzpatrick. We're going to go get an upgrade. So we're going to cut him, save the $3 million, and go upgrade upon KZ in free agency. So with being at $3.6 million under the cap to start, we cut these guys here, and that's going to give us $36.3 million in cuts. So add those together, obviously we've got $39.9 million to use in free agency. So we have basically $40 million, which is a good place to be if we want to make some signings, which leads me to the next slide. Free agent targets, switch it up a little bit. Last time I had a couple different guys on here, wasn't really feeling that at all. Did a little bit more digging, and I'm more interested in what I have here. So we're still going to go get Kenny Moore, the second free agent from the Indianapolis Colts, played slot corner. I think we need an upgrade at that position. I'd also be okay with trying. We didn't really get to see much of Corey Trice Jr. I'd be okay if we don't make this acquisition. I still want to, obviously, because Kenny Moore II is a previous All-Pro slot corner. I would definitely take him over Trice, but I wouldn't mind seeing Trice get an opportunity. But regardless, we're going to go get Kenny Moore II, making about $8.3 million a year. We're going to go grab him to play our slot corner position. Our biggest acquisition here in this video now is going to be Cameron Curl, strong safety from the Washington Redskins. He is a free agent. Market value on him is about $14.4 million a year. We're going to go out and get a big-time strong safety to play on the other side of Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's going to go back to his free safety role so that he can, cover and ball hawk out there. We're going to get a hard-hitting safety to come play strong safety for us with Cameron Curl, $14.4 mil. Then I went and grabbed Cody Ford at guard, just a depth guard. Like I said, we're replacing Herbig, going out and getting Cody Ford, who's a cheaper option for like $1.5 million a year. He's just gonna be a backup guard to James Daniels at right guard, or whatever, left guard, whatever you want to put him at. So that's fine there. We saved a couple million by doing that, getting our backup guard there. Jeremy Chin, grabbed him at safety as well. I know we went and got Curl. We have Fitzpatrick already. I figured Chin would be a good acquisition because, one, he's cheap because, he stunk it up with the Panthers. He was kind of like on their, on their shit list, for lack of a better word. But I don't think he's going to tailor too much money because he hasn't really played well. But I think it'd be okay to go get him here for just like a measly $1.5 million. He can be a backup safety for you. And then you could even, he's a bigger player at the safety position, played his best ball up against the line of scrimmage. So maybe you could even utilize him as maybe like some middle linebacker depth too. Could be like a tweener between like safety, middle linebacker. Can still cover, you know what I mean? Probably a little faster than them guys. But it's just another option available for you to use. Then we went out and got AJ Epinesa for defensive end. This is going to be the Larry Ogunjobi replacement. Going to be like maybe $1 million less money than you'd have to pay Larry. And that's just going to be his replacement there at defensive end until maybe we find something else, maybe in the draft. But I think AJ could hold up if we don't get one. So just a cheaper option that's still a decently valuable player that we can replace Larry with and save a little bit of money. And then my last signing is going to be Josh Jones, tackle from the Texans. He was a backup there. He's going to come back up here and be like the Chuck's Okorafor replacement as far as depth goes. Because Chuck's was making about $8 million, maybe almost $9 million. And we're going out and getting a way cheaper option as just a backup tackle because we have Broderick Jones, we have Dan Moore Jr. Those are our tackles right now, currently. Till we hit the draft, we'll see if we can get something in the draft. If not, I'm okay with that. We'll still have a decent backup if needed. So with these signings, they're going to equate to about $33.6 million. We had $39.9 million to use. That's going to leave us with $7.2 million, still under the cap. Now I'm going to go on to the next slide. This is going to be the trade again. Steelers sending a 2024, so this year's second, and two, because we have two of them. Last video I only did one of them. I think we're going to have to give up a little extra to snag him away from the Atlanta Falcons because they seem to be the other team that's kind of in on him. All these reports coming out about how the Steelers aren't in on Justin Fields. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I'm not buying it. They need to do something at the quarterback position. We have a team that can win now. We made the playoffs. Sorry, my text tone went off there. We made the playoffs with no offense whatsoever. I mean, Kenny Pickett, it is what it is. He was under Matt Canada, looked like crap. Maybe he can still do it. Maybe he can be better with a different OC. Whatever the case may be, I think I wouldn't say they're a quarterback away from a Super Bowl, but you take that 10-7 playoff team with the way that the defense played. We make a couple acquisitions on the defense to add further to that. I think the defense plays out of their mind. And then if you can go get a quarterback that can produce, different offensive coordinator, you know what I'm saying? I think Justin Fields propels us further into the playoffs, if not possibly the Super Bowl, with how well the defense plays. So we're coughing up 2 fifth round picks next year, because we have 2 of them, with the second round pick for this year, going and getting Justin Fields. He's going to probably cost about $6 million or so, bringing him in here for this year. So that would leave us, we had the $7.2 million left in cap space there. So we're kind of tight, but that's all right. We go get him there to play quarterback. And sorry, Kenny Pickett. At this point, you might just be a backup. Maybe we could hustle him to somebody else later for maybe some late round picks or something. I don't know, but I think keeping him around, obviously, you have a decent backup if something would happen with Fields. But regardless, that's what we're looking at. So here we are, my little makeshift depth chart for you. There's my dog again, every single time. But okay. So here we are looking at the depth chart. I'll try to talk over my barking dog downstairs. I have the door closed and everything, but he's still probably making his way through to you guys. So this is what it looks like after our free agent acquisitions. So we'll just start from the top. Free safety, we got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Miles Killebrew is backing him up. At the strong safety position, we grab Cameron Curl. Jeremy Chin is backing him up. Then we're going to go over here to corner 1. We've got Joey Porter Jr. Our corner 2 right now is Levi Wallace. We went and got Kenny Moore the second to play slot corner. And then we still have Corey Trice Jr. and Darius Rush. Those are going to be the backup corners there on the outside. We may add one in the draft. It just depends on how it goes. We saw what happened in my last mock sim. Things didn't really pan out the way I particularly wanted them to, but that's what happens in the draft. So that's what we got for our defensive backs. Then in the middle linebacker position, we still have Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, and then we didn't bring back Quan Alexander or Michael Walker or whatever. We still have Mark Robinson in this scenario, so he's going to be just our third middle linebacker for right now, and we'll see what we can do about that in the draft as well. So those are 2 positions to look at. We already addressed the safety position. We're looking corner and middle linebacker so far. So next we've got the edge positions. We got Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig backing him up on that right side. On the left side, we've got TJ Watt. We brought back Marcus Golden to back him up on that side. Then we've got at the defensive ends, we've got Cam Hayward, obviously. DeMarvin Leal still here backing him up. And then we've got AJ Epinesa on the other side. Jonathan Marshall backing him up. Could look to add a defensive end piece there to replace Jonathan Marshall. And then our defensive tackles, Keanu Benton, Montravius Adams, brought him back. And then Renell Wren is our third DT there. Could look to add one of those. All right, so now we've got the offensive side of the football. We're going to start at the left tackle position. We got Dan Moore Jr. over there playing left tackle. Looking to possibly add a tackle in this draft because we don't have anything backing him up currently. Left guard, obviously Isaac Samalo is still there. We let Herbig go, which he was backing up Daniels, I believe. But Spencer Anderson's still here. We're going to keep him there. Center position, we don't really have anybody because we let Mason Cole go. Ryan McCollum, only one on the roster right now. We're going to look to address that in the draft. Right guard, James Daniels. Cody Ford, our new signing. He's just depth guard position. And then our right tackle still currently Broderick Jones. And then we grab Josh Jones in free agency as a backup tackle. Depending on how things go, if we end up getting a good right tackle in the draft, we're going to kick Broderick Jones to the left. And then Dan Moore will be backing him up over there. And then whatever right tackle we get, we'll just slot in here, obviously. Moving on to the quarterback position, we got Kenny Pickett. That's it. We let Mason Rudolph go. We already let Trubisky go. So that's all we're looking at so far. So we'll see what we do we got Justin Fields. I forgot. Sorry. We traded for Justin Fields, so it's going to be Justin Fields, then Pickett. which I guess I should add him in here actually. Whoops. I'll do it whenever we do the draft, but just know Fields and Pickett are 1 and 2 there, quarterback. So now we'll go to the tight end position. Still got Pat Freiermuth, still got Darnell Washington, still got Connor Hayward. That's what we're working with. Wide receiver position, still Deontay and George Pickens on the outsides there. Calvin Austin right now currently in the slot as I have it because we let Allen Robinson go, and then Des Fitzpatrick and Denzel Mims are just depth wide receivers. And then lastly, our running backs, you got Najee, Jalen Warren, and Alfonso Graham currently. So that's what we're looking at. I think it looks a lot better, at least right now. Obviously, there's some needs that we have after some cuts and whatnot, but we're going to hopefully address that in the draft. So moving on, our 2024 draft targets. I didn't really switch this around because I think we still need the same stuff as I was talking about before. But just to touch on it, Jackson Powers Johnson, best center arguably in the draft. So he's a first round target for us possibly. For tackle positions where we pick at 20, I was looking at Talise Fuaga. I think will be a great fit with the Arthur Smith scheme. He's a mauler in the run game, get a mauler right tackle, and we would move Broderick Jones back to the left side if he's there. But I think by the time we pick, I think Fuaga will be long gone. But I just wanted to touch on him, like I said in the last video, because he does fit the scheme very well. And who knows? He could fall. You never know. Or maybe we can move up. We'll just see what happens. Amarius Mims, another right tackle that I think we could actually get our hands on with the 20th pick. He played right tackle at Georgia. Broderick Jones also played at Georgia, left tackle. So they were teammates. Amarius Mims didn't play a whole lot, was injured and stuff, but the tape that he did put out, he looked very, very good. Looked like a back end of the first round pick, and that's only because he hasn't played as much as these other guys. If he would have had all the games and all the time that the other guys in this draft had, he'd probably be up towards the top. But that's going to scare teams away a little bit. Or it might not. We'll see when the draft comes around. But I think because of that, he doesn't have the experience that the others have. I think he may fall a little bit, and we could maybe snag him in the first round. Next up, if we're talking corners, I think Quinion Mitchell could possibly be available when we pick at the 20th spot. Played at Toledo. People had questions about him because of playing at Toledo. He didn't see the type of competition that you would see up here in the NFL, or even those top collegiate athletes. But, he went down to the Senior Bowl, killed it, looks the part, and I think that shut up all the question marks there with that. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Great corner, best tackling defensive back, I would say, in the class, at least at corner for sure. You could move him to safety. He could play corner, whichever one. He could play in the nickel, whatever you want him to do. Very versatile in that defensive backfield. So that could be a good pickup because we can move him all around wherever we want in that defensive backfield. And then I skipped the second round because as we talked about in the last one, we traded our second round pick to get Fields. So there's no point really discussing any second round targets because we don't have that pick unless we would happen to move up, But I think with them trading away some draft pieces, I don't think we're probably going to move anywhere just because they don't want to have to give up more picks to move up. So we'll see what happens. I could see them after getting Fields maybe moving down to accumulate some picks, but nonetheless, third round center to possibly look into if we don't end up being able to get Jackson Powers Johnson is Cedric Van Pran. Also played at Georgia. So potentially here we could see a Amarius Mims, Cedric Van Pran draft and have 3 Georgia linemen, all young future linemen on our line, if that's the possibility. Zach Frazier is another center that I didn't put on this list because he's probably a second round pick, but I would obviously rather have Frazier than Van Pran, but Van Pran wouldn't be too bad if we go get our other tackle of the future and we need to fill that center position. I would target him. Linebackers in the third round, Peyton Wilson, my second linebacker right now that I have graded. He's awesome. Only thing with him is there's some injury concerns, so he might move down the board a little bit. Junior Colson out of Michigan, another middle linebacker who flies all over the place. Pretty decent at coverage. We could use, you know, a coverage linebacker, and then he's a thumper too. So he can definitely rush the passer out of the middle if you want him to, or whatever, uh, or just on run plays. Cedric Gray, he's a middle linebacker out of North Carolina. Looks also pretty decent. In my last mock, I was able to get him in the fourth. So if he's there in the fourth, might swing on it again. Mike Sainristil, I did take him in the third, but I don't regret it because I love Sainristil, and I think he'd be a great slot corner. But we already did get the slot role filled with Kenny Moore. Then I was talking about possibly moving him to safety, but we had Taylor Rapp in that video. It was kind of cloudy, but this time we got Cameron Curl, so we don't need no safety. Corners, we got Kenny Moore to play in the slot, so we might bypass Mike Sainristil, even though I do love the player very much, and I wouldn't mind having him at all. But Braden Fisk, defensive tackle out of Florida State, was the one that I probably should have targeted at that spot. So we may target him in the third round here to get some more defensive tackle depth because Keanu Benton is about it. Montravius Adams is just a depth player in my eyes. All right, fourth round wide receivers. We already discussed Luke McCaffrey is CMC's brother. Played at Rice, wide receiver. Average size. I think he could play outside or inside. I kind of like him more so in the slot. Give us a quicker, decent size receiver running out of the slot. Or, if you want to put him outside, whatever. Deontay Johnson can move in. I think there's some versatility there with that one. Malik Washington is solely going to be a slot wide receiver. He's like 5'8" or something like that. But he's still, at Virginia, put up like 1,400 yards, like 14 touchdowns or something crazy. I mean, very productive. And I don't think, I think he's a sneaky Tank Dell type steal late in the draft to play like a slot wide receiver position. Cole Bishop had him here as a safety. We don't really need to talk about that anymore because we did get our safety position figured out in this scenario. And then I just included Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State, another linebacker potential. If we want to add some depth to the linebacker, possibly a future starter. We'll see. But that is going to do it for the slides. Now we're going to move on to the draft, the mock sim draft, and see if we can address those positions that we have holes to finish out this roster and see what we're looking at for 2024 if we would go with this scenario, if the Steelers would end up doing this scenario, which I'm sure they're not going to do everything that I just did. But this is just fun anyways. What potentials of what the team could look like if I was the GM. All right, so we're going to start the draft here. We're going to skip to our pick. We picked 20th. I don't think, like I said, we're going to be moving up at all. So I'm going to skip to the 20th pick, and then we're going to have to do the same thing we did last time where we trade our second to the Bears whenever we get to that pick. So here we are. We're up on the clock right now, and we still got some options available here. Like I said, I'm trying to be realistic with this, so maybe Fuaga, as much as I'd like him, maybe we don't go for that. I'm looking for something down, because this mock draft simulator kind of does whatever it wants. We got J.J. McCarthy going early. Not too many crazy picks here, though. I mean, this is a possibility. So maybe we just roll with whatever. I don't think Kingsley Suamataia is going to go 18th overall. I think he's more of a second-round tackle. Like, why would you go with him over Fuaga, Latham? You know what I'm saying? So something like that could happen. But for this video, we're going to try to find something a little more realistic, what we could actually pick. I might still go with Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, that is our biggest need. If you're looking at our depth chart there in the slides, we have no center at all. Ryan McCollum. If you don't end up getting a tackle, I think you can make do with Dan Moore again. Not that I really want to go that route. But then, last mock, we took Jackson Powers Johnson, and then when we hit the third round, Cedric Van Pran was still there. And, Obviously, I prefer Jackson Powers Johnson if we're talking about the center position over Van Pran. But then when we get down to that third round, there's not a whole lot of tackles to choose from if you're going to go try to get your other bookend starting tackle there. So maybe in this one we could exercise praying to God that Cedric Van Pran is still there when we pick and go take one of these tackles and get that other starting tackle right now. And I'm going to try to do that. So in this case, like I said, I really just do in my heart think Fuaga will be gone. So in this scenario, I do have Mims a little higher than, like, say, Latham. You know, we could go get that other outside corner too. We could. We could go with Nate Wiggins is still here. Cooper DeJean still here. Like we talked, Quinyon Mitchell still here. But we do have the Levi Wallace Band-Aid. I think they're just the offensive line needs fixed. I think that is the number one priority. So in this, I have to do it. I'm going to Marius Mims to play right tackle for us. And maybe you get some instant chemistry there with Broderick Jones being his former teammate. Whatever. You know, you found a good tackle with Broderick Jones coming out of Georgia. You know, maybe Amarius Mims could be the same thing. So we're going to go get Amarius Mims there at 20. And we're going to pray to God that there's a center left when we pick again. So here we go, skipping to our second round pick, but that one is going to be gone because, like I said before, we traded that to the Bears. So we're going to make this trade real quick. Like I said in the last one, I'm just doing a 25th second from the Bears for our second this year. This means nothing. It's just to get this pick out of our hands because we traded it for Fields. So we're not doing 2025 anything. So I'm just making it a fair offer so that this will accept it. This was for Fields. So we're trading that away to the Bears because they'll pick there. So there we go. So what do we still have left at center? We're not picking yet, but I just want to take a look. We still have Zach Frazier and Van Pran. So maybe instead of skipping to the pick, I'll entertain it. We will just one by one. Instead of skipping to the pick, we'll just work our way down and see if maybe we get gutsy and we trade up a couple spots if need be to just ensure we get a center because we have to get a center. So let's go. So Amajaje, Bullard, Michael Hall, center, Xavier Worthy, Edrin Cooper, Jalen Polk, Chris Jenkins, Jatavian Sanders, TJ Tampa, Tyler Nubin. Okay, where we pick? We picked 20th in the third round, so we still are looking okay right now. Kalen Bullock goes, Kalen King, Ricky Pearsall, Gabriel Murphy, Leonard Taylor, Tyler Davis, Zach Frazier just went. Okay, so we lost out on Zach Frazier, but hopefully Cedric Van Pran is still there when we get down. Michael Pratt, McKinley Jackson, Blake Corum, Jeremiah Trotter, Trey Benson, Receiving Strain. A couple more picks to go. Don't do it to us. Thank the Lord, baby Jesus. It worked out, and Cedric Van Pran is still here. I'm still going to take a look, but that's probably going to be the pick. Probably. We didn't have to trade anything either to come up and get him, so I'm okay with that. Like I said, Braden Fisk would be a great acquisition. But in this case, you know, we need that center. We need it bad. So I'm not really going to look too much. I'm going to take Cedric Van Pran here out of Georgia to play center. So now we got Broderick Jones going to move over to left tackle. We've got Isaac Samalu playing left guard. Cedric Van Pran is our center. Our right guard is going to be James Daniels still. And then our right tackle is Amarius Mims. Looking solid there. All right, so now that that's out of the way, I'm going to skip to the picks again because that was like the pressing need that we absolutely needed to get, so I'd be okay with trading up for that. But since we got it, we're just going to skip to our fourth round pick, see what we're looking at. We have 2 fourths. We have the 19th and the 20th pick of the fourth round. So let's take a look at what we can get here. Cedric Gray. We took him last time at linebacker. He's still on the board here. Possibility there. And then I'm looking at these corners as well because we still want that other outside corner. Fourth round guy, maybe he doesn't start right out of the gate. Maybe you keep Levi Wallace out there right out of the gate, but maybe he pick whoever we take. If we do that, I'm thinking Kyrie Jackson here out of Oregon. Um, maybe he gets into that starting outside role maybe halfway through the year or something. Possibility there. We still got Luke McCaffrey. Last time we didn't have him there, we took Malik Washington with our second fourth round pick. But he's still there. I'm also looking at Jordan Travis, quarterback out of Florida State. He could come in and be your third string quarterback, but we did go out and get Fields, but maybe, like I said, maybe you move Pickett later down the road. You still have a nice backup with Jordan Travis, even a possible starter for you if like Fields doesn't work out or something. So I'm not opposed to that. But it's looking like the picks are probably going to be. I definitely still want to try and get a defensive line player as well. Man, this is tough. I'm thinking maybe we could find a wide receiver later. I don't really want to because looking at the board here, I like McCaffrey, I like Thrash, I like Washington, but those are all fourth round picks, probably gone. Javon Baker is someone we could look at to play outside, and we can move Deontay Johnson to the slot. Jaquan Jackson is someone we could look at to play slot. Also, Marcus Rosemy Jack Saint looked pretty good at the Senior Bowl. I believe that's where he was at. He was either that or the Shrine. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he looked pretty good. He had solid hands. He didn't play a whole lot at Georgia. He played, but didn't get a lot of production. But they also were just running the ball down teams' throats this past year, so can't hold that against them. So we have some options. We have some options at wide receiver. If we're looking at adding a linebacker, Cedric Gray, Tommy Eichenberg, maybe even Jalen Ford, I'd be okay with. We'll have to see what we could possibly get in the 6th round. I think for sure, first pick, let's just get that out of the way. Because I think for sure we go get a corner. Because I think, 6'3", 195, good size, Chow Smith-Wade, or however you say that, Shaw Smith-Wade. He's kind of a smaller guy, probably like a nickel corner. I'm looking at these two players here, Marcellus Dial and Kyrie Jackson. Probably going to go with Jackson. Slightly bigger, 34 tackles for Jackson, 36 for Dial last year. But then Kyrie had 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 7 pass defenses to Dial's 1 sack and 10 pass defenses. I just think you're getting a little bit more there with Kyrie Jackson. And I'm not just basing everything off this past year, just throwing some stats out for you to think about. Mekhi Wingo, could go with him for defensive line, interior help there, just some depth there. But let's see, let's just take a quick look at what's left for that. Because this 4th round, I think, is so crucial in this scenario on what we take. Because we still have some holes left. Really, I'm getting just a second defensive interior player to go with Benton. So, could look at somebody like Gabe Hall. He looked great at the Senior Bowl. Fabian Lovett is a possibility we could get late. I think we got to do it. I think we got to go. Man, so wide receiver looked okay. Maybe we can get something there. And I think we wait just a little bit longer on the defensive tackle for right now. I know it sucks, but we got to do what we got to do. I just think value-wise it makes the most sense. We're taking Cedric Gray, like we did last time, play linebacker. And then we're going to go get Kyrie Jackson here out of Oregon at corner. So there we go. So now we got a young depth linebacker to plug in there in our middle linebacker room that could possibly take over, if Holcomb gets hurt again or something, or maybe we could get rid of Holcomb at some point. I think Landon Roberts played great last year when he was in there, so I'm interested in keeping him around. But then Mark Robinson, not a very good, he's okay, but obviously not a starting linebacker for us. So we'll get Cedric Gray, get a young linebacker in here. And then we get our possible potential other outside corner in Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. So let's skip to our 6th round pick because we don't have a 5th. If we had a 5th, I'd go wide receiver probably next, but we don't. So let's see what we can get next. All right, we're back up on the clock. Looking here, we could take Xavier Thomas too and maybe like convert him into a tweener. Like, maybe he could be some defensive and like line help, but would be more of a defensive end than like a D tackle. Kind of looking for a D tackle. Let's see what we have available at wide receiver real quick. So we still got these two guys, Jaquan Jackson and Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint. Jack Saint a little bigger at 6'2", 195. You're looking for maybe an outside guy if you're kicking Deontay Johnson in. Or we go Jaquan Jackson, play out of the slot and keep Deontay on the outside. We'll see about that. Let's go look at defensive line. Fabian Lovett. We lost out on who's the other guy I just mentioned? Gabe Hall. He's gone. So maybe we could look at Fabian Lovett with our 7th round pick. Might still be there. But that's really all we need to look at. We're okay at running back. Quarterback, we sign anybody to be quarterback 3. I don't care. We still have Fields and Pickett, so we're okay with that. Yeah, I feel like that's all we need. Wide receiver and defensive line. So we're going to go with the wide receiver position. I'm going Jaquan Jackson. Screw it. We're going to go Jaquan Jackson out of Tulane. He's going to play slot for us. We'll keep Deontay on the outside. Now we're going to skip to the pick here. It'll be our 7th rounder, and maybe Fabian Lovett will still be there. We could end up grabbing him just for some depth there at defensive tackle and see what we're looking like with the depth chart. Because I don't think we need to address anything else. Bernardo Green would be a nice, safety, or could even play corner, possibly, like a nickel corner. So you could get him for some depth there, but we already addressed corner in free agency and the draft. So I'm just taking a quick browse here through. I wouldn't be opposed to taking a running back just as a 3rd option, but we're okay there enough. Fabian Lovett still here is going to be the pick for us. So we'll finish our draft out. Now let's take this group of players that we just drafted. Here they are. And we're going to go back to my slide video. Whoops. We are going to go to our depth chart here. So let's plug in what we have. So we still got to put Fields in here. We don't have a quarterback 3 right now, but that's okay. Slot wide receiver. So this could either be, for now, I would say we keep Calvin Austin there just because of the experience, but we did go get Jaquan Jackson. Could be your potential slot replacement for Calvin Austin. I still think Calvin Austin, though, is a good receiver. I think they could, give him more opportunities than they did with Matt Canada in there. So that's our wide receiver acquisition. So tackles, we're going to switch this around. So Dan Moore is going to stay there, but we are going to put Broderick Jones on this side. And we're going to replace Broderick Jones on this side because we're moving him to his natural left tackle position, and we're going to get Amarius Mims in there. Then our center position, Ryan McCollum is going to be the backup center, and we're going to throw in Cedric Van Pran. Whoops. Got bold. Okay, so what else did we get here? Okay, we got, we're going to move, we're going to put Corey Trice here as our backup. Corey Trice Jr. as our backup slot corner. And then over here, we're going to keep Levi Wallace, like I said, right now as our corner 2. But Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon was our corner pick in the 4th round. I think he could eventually elevate himself into the CB2 role. Like I said, maybe halfway through the year, get him a little bit of some time in there. But I don't think he's a starter right out of the gate. But that's okay because he's going to be our eventual starter. What else do we get? So we got Mims, Pran, okay, Jacksons, both the Jacksons. We got to put Fabian Lovett and Cedric Gray in the lineup still. So we're going to put Cedric Gray here under Landon Roberts. For now, I think he could elevate and take over a starting position and run with either Roberts or Holcomb, depending on what happens. And then Fabian Lovett, we're going to put him just under Montravius Adams, and he's just going to be a depth D tackle for us. And that's what we're looking at. All right, so just to go over this one more time to end the video out. With our free agent acquisitions and our draft picks, this would be the depth chart in this scenario, what we're looking at for 2024. So our free safeties, Minkah Fitzpatrick with Miles Killebrew backing him up. Strong safety. We went out and got Cameron Curl to play strong safety. Was our biggest free agent acquisition. Then we grabbed Jeremy Chin for the cheap in free agency to back up Cameron Curl. At the strong safety position, could possibly be a tweener and help out with the middle linebackers depending. Our corners. Joey Porter Jr. is our corner 1. We still got Levi Wallace as our corner 2 right now, but we drafted Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon to possibly elevate at some point in the season and take over Levi Wallace's outside job. And then we've got Kenny Moore II from the Colts. We picked him up in free agency. He's going to be our all-pro slot cornerback with Corey Trice Jr. backing him up out of the slot. Next up, middle linebackers. Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, still your starters. We went out in the 4th round, grabbed Cedric Gray to elevate, possibly to be one of these starting middle linebackers, get you some young talent in there. And he's going to eventually take over one of their jobs. Edge, we still got Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig on this side, TJ Watt, Marcus Golden on that side. Cam Hayward and DeMarvin Leal, still your defensive ends there on the left side. Keanu Benton, Montravius Adams we brought back, and then we drafted Fabian Lovett out of Florida State in the 7th round as some defensive tackle depth. Who knows? Could possibly elevate to your second DT. Then our other defensive end, our right defensive ends, we got AJ Epinesa starting on the other side there, and couldn't really address another defensive end in the draft, so Jonathan Marshall, kind of our only weak point there at the other defensive end position. Moving over to the offense, we moved Broderick Jones to the left side. Dan Moore Jr. is going to back him up, so that's good. Good backup depth there. Isaac Sumalo, still our left guard with Spencer Anderson, who showed promise to be he's our backup left guard. In the draft, we went and got Cedric Van Pran in the 3rd round. He's going to be our starting center. Ryan McCollum is backing him up. Right guard, James Daniels, still our right starting guard. We went out and got Cody Ford on the cheap as a backup guard for us. And then right tackle, we drafted Amarius Mims in the 1st round with the 20th overall pick to play our right tackle position, and we have 2 young bookend tackles. We've got a young center who can show promise there, and then we went and got Josh Jones as a backup right tackle in free agency. Moving on to the wide receiver position, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens still on our outside. We went and got Jaquan Jackson out of Tulane. That was in the 6th round. He could possibly be a starting slot wide receiver for us. If not, we're going to roll with Calvin Austin. So not a whole lot of changes there, but I think Calvin Austin is a hell of a player. I just don't think he got the opportunities that he should have. Quarterback, we went and traded for Justin Fields, so he's our starter. Got Kenny Pickett backing him up. At the tight end position, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, still the same song and dance there at tight end, which is fine. And then running backs, same thing. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris splitting time there with Alfonso Graham backing up. So when I looked at this depth chart at the beginning, or at least at the end of last season, and I look at it now, you guys let me know in the comment section. Give me a like, give me a comment. Let me know if you think that this depth chart right here in front of you can elevate us farther into the playoffs, possibly even the Super Bowl. Let me know what you guys think. I think, hands down, it looks 10 times better than it did. I think we filled every hole we could possibly do. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get to all of them. Everybody would like a new starting outside corner and replace Levi Wallace. Everybody would like a middle linebacker to come in and take over Holcomb and Roberts' job. And, these guys could possibly do it with Kyrie Jackson, Cedric Gray. But we don't have all the draft picks in the world, and not everybody's a first-round talent, right? So we went and got players for those positions in hopes that they will become that. We had to address the offensive line. That was top priority. And since we traded our second-round pick for Justin Fields, getting Amarius Mims and Cedric Van Pran on that line, I think that upgrades it tremendously. And now you have Dan Moore Jr., who was a used-to-be starter. He's a backup for you. So that's good backup to have, but he's a backup. We needed that upgrade, so we got it. And then the main upgrade of the entire situation is getting Justin Fields to play quarterback. I think you take our 10-7 playoff team that had no offense at all. We're like the worst offense in the entire league. And that is, that has nothing to do with George Pickens or Deontay. I mean, a little bit to do with Deontay Johnson. Pat Freiermuth, great tight end. Calvin Austin, I think, can do it out of the slot. Or Jaquan Jackson, our 6th-round pick there. We have good running backs. We just did not move the ball from the quarterback position, and we didn't have an offensive line for Najee and Jalen Warren to really eat behind. Now we've got, Arthur Smith coming in as our new OC. No more Matt Canada. Give him this offense here. I think it's a beautiful thing. I personally love it. So you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace and love. Toolie's out of here.